Well, welcome to the second ever dinner date debate. This is my piss poor example for a candle, and actually I should probably blow it up before it burns my fingers off. Okay.
You're so delicate, Brian. I love it.
I'm like a ballerina. Okay, so
You're the black swan.
I'm the red swan. What are you talking about?
Oh, I didn't know swans came in red.
No, they come in white, black, and blood red.
Oh.
All right, so I'm here with Channel Sundown's very own Amanda.
Hi, guys!
And Ray from Ray-Animator Reviews.
Hello.
Now, we're talking about 3 movies tonight. And we're going to try to pinpoint which was the scariest. And actually, I thought of a new thing just off the top of my head, but it won't alter anything. Which one was the scariest back then, and which was the scariest now?
Kind of like what held up. Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So, and also I have 10 points, and each movie will get whatever point they get, but we're going to choose which one gets the point for each one. So whoever has the most points by the end will win, pretty much.
Okay. Are you keeping tally?
Or yeah, I got a tally.
Okay.
I got a tally. I got a tally wally. All right.
We need a big washboard behind us to just be like
the green drawing.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna mail you a big old chalkboard so you can look like a weird conspiracy person. Just be like, you see this?
I'm gonna get it in the mail. Get it in the mail. Be like, what the fuck?
Ryan doesn't.
Where are we supposed to put this?
Ryan doesn't even smoke, and he's gonna be like, turn on lights. And you guys, did y'all hear this shit? Like, it's crazy.
All right, and the 3 films we're talking about, which I haven't mentioned yet for some stupid reason, are The Exorcist, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Jaws. Now, which people think are the scariest? You guys can leave that in the comment section, and we're going to be debating which ones are the scariest. We've got 4 people watching. We got Christian Gallagher Peacock. Am I the only one on here right now? And apparently not, because we got Mike Awesome commenting and saying, I'm back, Brian. What up? Sup, chat.
I'm back, too.
I'm back in black. All right, so let's go into the categories, because we have to do this quick, because Channel Sundown has a video, a live stream after.
We'll do yours. We'll do yours, and we'll just do yours right after. No rush, okay?
Okay, well, I'm just going to do a channel plug. Channel Sundown has a live stream about adaptions for Stephen King. So
it's King versus King. But other than doing like the irregular book versus movie, we decided to battle the adaptations. So we're doing Carrie versus Carrie versus Carrie, It versus It, The Mist versus the TV show, Dead Zone versus the Dead Zone TV show. So y'all stay tuned. It'll be on after this. I'm not rushing Brian's live stream, but we'll be going live after his. So go on, Bubby.
You're forgetting to The Shining and Salem's Lot.
I didn't name all of them. I still have my list. I just didn't name all of them. Stay tuned. We have The Shining versus Shining, It versus It, Trucks versus Overdrive.
Salem's Lot.
We're doing Salem's Lot versus Salem's Lot, It versus It, Shining versus Shining, Trucks versus Maximum Overdrive, Mist versus the TV show Mist, and I don't know if I mentioned Dead Zone versus the show Dead Zone. With Anthony Michael Hall. So, yep.
And actually, one more thing. We have someone who says the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the scariest. It's Brittany Lawless.
Well, we'll get into that, I guess. That came off bitchy, didn't it? I like it. I'm just saying.
All right, so the first one we're going to do the topic of for the 3 films, you catch my drift, is atmosphere and feels. Which do you think had the most atmosphere or the best atmosphere and gave the most shrilling or horrific feels? I'll go first since it's my damn show. I will
This is my party.
I'll say the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the absolute raw nature of that movie. And it's all, it makes you feel all grubby and gross. It really does.
It does. It does.
Okay, so next up we'll have Amanda go, and then Ray.
All right. I totally disagree with that. I think the scariest atmosphere is going to be Jaws. And I'll tell you why. It's because that, you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which had a really grim atmosphere. I do agree with that. But what was so scary about Jaws is it was a realistic atmosphere that everyone's been in before. Everybody's been on family vacations. Everybody's been in happy-go-lucky scenarios. And to have something so horrifying, like you go into Texas Chainsaw. Okay, you walk into the scenario, you're like, oh, this is creepy. Fuck y'all, I'm out. And just like The Exorcist, I'm sorry, when heads start spinning, I'm like, guys, peace, I'm out. God bless Mary, peace.
But when you're in the water, you don't know what's underneath you.
Well, not even the water. Like, it's such a family atmosphere that it hits you like nothing. It was a scenario that was familiar with people. And that's why I think it was so terrifying, because it's a familiar scenario that a lot of people are in. And for that to be so distraught, for that to happen, was completely terrifying to me. Versus kind of like when you go and you go to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like I said, you go into the scenario, you're like, this is creepy as fuck. Exorcist, this is creepy as fuck. Jaws had a happy, like the theme itself for Jaws was a very happy theme. Not talking about the shark thing, but just the theme per se, So that was my opinion. So.
All right, Ray, what's yours?
So this actually worked out perfectly because I chose The Exorcist.
That's why we're besties.
So I think my cat's trying to drink my soda. For The Exorcist, because it takes place pretty much all in a house, and that's like your safe zone, and then the religious undertones in it, like really, like I wasn't raised religious or anything, and that still like really got to me watching it, like demons, and there's so many cases that this has actually happened kind of thing that, kind of got me shook.
Yeah, they're all actually really good points. I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because of its raw nature, you think of it Jaws because of the realism and the overall nature of the not the attacks, the overall nature of the film, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think The Exorcist because of the I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
You picked The Exorcist because I didn't listen to anything you said.
The Exorcist loses. Okay,
no, because it's like in your safe zone, like your house, like that's where you like go to hide from things, and then all the crazy.
Oh man, Brian, you're lucky you're pretty. You need to marry a rich woman.
Brian, you're so pretty.
You just need to marry a rich woman. That's right.
I hope you know I was joking because I heard everything you said.
I know. Yeah. We know.
Okay, so the second topic is shock value. And I'll say Jaws for this one because every attack in that movie, I'll start off with saying the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, every kill in that movie is shocking, but it lies based on the title. There is no Chainsaw Massacre. There's Sledgehammer Massacre. There's Hook Impalement, but there's only one chainsaw kill.
Well, you remember the original title was Head Cheese.
Yeah, but that still doesn't say Sledgehammer Head Cheese.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, the title had nothing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but like going into there promising a Chainsaw Massacre can leave some people kind of underwhelmed, which is why I think it's weaker than Jaws. Because every attack in that movie was so powerful, you felt every attack. You didn't necessarily feel like you're being attacked by the shark, but you felt the impact of you felt the reactions of the people. You were like, "Holy shit, that's actually happening for real." So I'll give the point to Jaws for this one.
Okay. Is it my turn? Because I have a lot to say.
Yep.
I think the shock value actually should go to The Exorcist. And I'll tell you why. Although Jaws is the scariest film that I've ever seen in my life, The Exorcist was more shocking, okay? Jaws, I understand what you're saying, but The Exorcist shocked people.
Yeah.
And it had more of a oh god, I sounded so like when I said that. So I think The Exorcist should get this just because the just visuals itself, like although Jaws wasn't as visual, I think The Exorcist had more of that visual just because you saw this child in the beginning of the film, and then you saw this demon possessed child, so it took people back. When you watch Jaws, you know it's a killer shark. You know it's a killer shark. You know what's going to happen. People are going to get eaten. Exorcist, people don't really know what they're going into. You know?
They also don't know if it's the devil or a demon.
Exactly. So there was a lot more into the shock value of Exorcist versus Jaws. Jaws are like killer shark. There's going to be people dead. When people heard about The Exorcist, they're like, we don't know what we're going into. So that's my opinion for shock value. Not saying it's better than Jaws. I'm just saying for shock value. So.
Okay. Ray?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of torn, maybe leaning more towards The Exorcist than Jaws. Like the shock value, you know, at the time, a lot of the kills in movies wouldn't involve children, or like the bad stuff wouldn't be like centralized around kids. So I think, you know, the fact that Reagan was so young in The Exorcist, that was a pretty big shock. And they really haven't, like, even present time really gone back to that. Like it's always been like, you know, someone well into their teenage years, or like an older person. But, you know, seeing like the kids being shredded versus Reagan, just horrible things happening, I'd probably have to, I'd probably lean more towards The Exorcist.
And not trying to interrupt you, but I even notice like nowadays when they do like Exorcist films with children, they make, and I don't know if it's just me, but they make the child seem so unlikable.
Yeah.
It's like,
agreed.
Yeah, they make the child seem so like bratty in the beginning, so you don't feel as bad. And they didn't do that in The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So that's something I noticed too. So it's not even just a shock value, just a child. You know, you liked this child.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that. So that's a good point.
All right, so I'm not going to repeat what you guys said because I don't want to make an ass out of myself. So I'll go on to the third topic, which is impact.
Well, we both picked The Exorcist, and you picked Jaws.
I have that.
Okay, good. Just make sure you're being fair. That's okay.
Yep. So far I have 1 for the TCM, 2 for Jaws, and 3 for The Exorcist.
All right.
3 points, 2 points, 1 point. So impact. What kind of impact did it have on the audience and around the world back then or now, whichever you prefer to talk about?
Okay.
Or back then and now. You can do both if you want.
So just personal impact on society.
Yeah, at any time.
At any time, just society and in general. Okay, what do you think, Brian?
I'd have to go with The Exorcist because I watched a not a documentary, but kind of an overview of what was happening at the theaters when that movie came out, and people were fainting in the theater, or walking out of stumbling out of the theater, and just crying their eyes out. I mean, I know Jaws made people afraid of the water, but I'm talking about back then versus what the prolonged impact of Jaws had, because now people are making. And also, if you look at films that The Exorcist has inspired, the films are always more serious than Jaws, which has been kind of a cheesy movie from the beginning. It's just a really good B movie. But The Exorcist, it definitely shocked and tore people's imaginations open with a new one.
I can get that. I guess I'm kind of on the side point of I think Jaws had the bigger impact to people, because I will tell you why. Is because at the time, Exorcist did do a big impact. People were thrown up to the theaters. People were upset, generally. But I believe that nowadays, even Jaws has a bigger impact on society then and now, because not many people are religious. A lot of people don't believe in demons. Especially like back in the day, it was kind of like, even now, people are very skeptical about exorcisms and, you know, demonic possession versus sharks. You know, sharks are real. And I believe that till, you know, even now, like people were not going to the beach. People were hunting sharks. And that started with a whole decline. And like I said, you were talking about the documentary you saw. The documentary I saw had a whole decline in sharks, where a lot of people are killing great white sharks. And main reason why a lot of these creatures are low in population, because people have not understood the creature itself. And because of that, there's a major decline in killings of sharks. People were going in and shooting them. People were having a misunderstanding of the creatures itself. So basically, it was just a big fucking ordeal. Excuse my language. I don't know if we can cuss on here, but it was a big ordeal of just like rationality, people being rational versus fear. So that was the big example of just people not understanding, you know, story versus reality.
I might have to change my answer. Now it's Jaws.
So yeah, and it was a decline in the and you know everything, and I love you, Brian. And so like it had a lot to do with it, because nowadays, you know, you see all these exorcism films, and a lot of people are kind of, you know, going back on, you know, just being a fear of. But till this day, you talk to people, and they're like, I don't go in the ocean. Why? Because I've seen fucking Jaws. You don't see people going, well, I don't go to, you know,
the duplexes.
You know, like, you know, there's a lot of that. So anyways, so what do you think, Ray?
I too, I picked Jaws. Based on like what you said, how it just scared the crap out of everyone, and it continues to scare the crap out of everyone who sees it. No matter, you know, it's 2018, you're seeing it now for the first time, it's going to scare you. You're going to be taking a bath looking behind you, like not feeling safe. There's so many like references in pop culture to it, like throughout everything. And you know, if you're in the ocean and you feel seaweed hit your foot, that is your first thought. Like, Bruce is right there. I'm done.
Actually, the funny thing is, my first thought is the creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know why.
Well, unless it's Brian Gatto, and then you reference that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But you know what? I know something really funny that I didn't realize until I was watching Finding Nemo. Guess what the shark is named in Finding Nemo?
Yeah.
Bruce.
I didn't get it. And so I was watching Finding Nemo with my daughter the other day, and I didn't realize I was sitting there, and he goes, "Hi guys, my name is Bruce." I went, really? I never got that. I started laughing so hard. But you're totally right. And what makes the film so fucking great is, honestly, they don't show the shark until the ending.
Yeah, but you're still just terrified.
Exactly. And I'm sorry, but that was the best reveal of all time.
Oh, yeah.
The best reveal.
The first reveal of the shark was actually when the guy got knocked off the boat, and you could see it.
Yeah. That was the scariest thing ever.
You can see when under the water.
To the side and just, but the reveal, like when we need a bigger boat. Reveal.
Yeah, because a lot of people quote that.
Not today, Satan. Fuck you, Becky. No.
Yeah, a lot of people say that the reveal is when he says, "Come down and show me some of this shit," but the actual first reveal is when you see him under the water.
And that's funny you said that, because that's the scariest moment of the whole film for me. Was when he was trying to get on the boat, and the shark was coming, and he just slightly opened his mouth, and then you see the foot coming. Oh.
Slips right in.
Anyways, Jaws don't scare me. Actually, there's a story behind that, because when me and Brian first started like collaborating, he was like, "Hey man, let's do top 5 favorite shark films." I went, "Oh no, boo boo."
No.
I said, "I have galophobia," and he goes, "Oh," I'm like, "I have an extreme fear of sharks." He goes, "Yeah, but we don't have to do all the good ones." I'm like, "Any shark film is fun."
The top 5 worst shark movies. There we go.
Yes.
Or top 5 most cheesiest. All right, so are you all set with what your points were for Jaws, the Ray-Animator? Ray?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're on to effects.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it's a real tough one for me, but for society's sake, I'll say The Exorcist, because people say the shark in Jaws looks fake now. and I don't agree with that, but a lot of people do think that. The Exorcist, people are still terrified as hell of that little girl and the prosthetic makeup she had on her, and all the effects they did with her, like the spider walking down the stairs on the extent of the director's cut. So I'd have to go with The Exorcist.
Okay, I disagree because I'll tell you why. Because I feel like The Exorcist wasn't so much effects, but the acting talent. Linda Blair, she had good makeup effects, but most of the effects were not effects per se, but the acting ability. Like the person that walked backwards down the stairs, that was, a person doing that. And the whole act, what made Reagan scary is her approach. Okay. When you saw her face, it really wasn't scary until she started, talking. And then you're like, oh, and that was the acting ability. So if we're going on scare factor, which is another topic,
effects.
yes, maybe. But
Effects.
yeah, that's what I'm going. Effects.
Okay.
Effects, I'm going to go with Jaws. Because Texas Chainsaw Massacre had no effects. Exorcist was purely acting, but Jaws had the effects. Jaws had the blood splatter, it had the machine, it had the whole underwater aspect and everything. It had the effects, when you saw the first victim and you pulled the sheet back and you saw the victim, those are effects. Neither of Exorcist or Texas Chainsaw Massacre had those effects. So although Exorcist was scary, it did not have the effects. It was more of the acting that added to the fear factor versus the effects. So if I had to go with effects, of course, I sound biased, but Jaws is going to go for it.
All right, and Ray?
So originally I was going to say Texas Chainsaw just because of that one scene with the hook, because of how realistic it looked with the body drop and everything. I did really like that, but I'm going to have to go with The Exorcist just for like the prosthetics and the puppetry with her head spinning and, the levitation and everything. I was pretty impressed with. And I feel like it still holds up really well today. Like, I don't think it would have the same effect if they would taint it with CGI. It's still, it's still very effective.
And I can't believe no one's mentioned the pea soup.
Well, that was just
mean.
That's
It gets out of her mouth and actually looks like it's coming from her mouth.
Oh, can we check out I feel so bad. Can we check out the comments real quick? Because I'm really curious
sure.
what people.
Once you guys got to write one thing. Okay.
All right.
All right, let's see. Oh, shit.
So we got a lot?
Yeah, we got Violet Baker watching, Zachary Haith saying, Jaws, don't go in the water. Shanika Review says, Texas, no thanks. Violet Baker says, Jaws, favorite movie of all time. OCD Horror says, hey, yo. I would go
Chase.
I would go with The Exorcist for shock. Reagan's vulgar behavior was extremely shocking for that time, even with the shark eating a kid. Even with a shark eating a kid. We got Groom of Ray-Animator, Jeff Lloyd, and Chop Block. And that's about it. But everyone's really putting their all into it, talking to each other, and just and saying what their choices and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're on to scares.
All right.
And I might shock you with this.
Ruh-roh.
I'm picking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre only because if you look at an MPAA rating and it says terror throughout, that is the perfect definition for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There are parts in Jaws that are absolutely horrifying, I agree, but it's not scary throughout. The Exorcist, it's not scary throughout. There's an ambient feeling of something there, but sometimes there's playful scenes with the mother and daughter. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're following these kids, they're going to get led into some bad shit. The whole time they're experiencing things like the smell of the farm and the gas station attendant, and then from
I didn't know you could smell the film.
The end. What?
I didn't know you could smell the film. Were you watching Smell-O-Vision?
No, farm.
You said the smell of the farm, and I said, are we Smell-O-Vision? Like, what TV are you? I need to come more around that shit. Is that a scratch and sniff? In other words,
and from like the 30-minute mark until the end, it's all out terror and scares. And also, if you think about it, I'm not sure though, but it might be wrong, but it could be correct. It has one of the first jump scares that were actually legit. Like it wasn't just like a fake out scare. When Leatherface attacks Franklin and they turn the light towards him, it's like right there.
Yeah.
How did it go, Brian?
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Oh, so you picked Texas Chainsaw? You picked Texas Chainsaw? So okay. It was really great being here tonight, y'all. Peace. No, of course, I'm going to pick Jaws, guys. Come on now. Like, Texas Chainsaw.
It's terror throughout, and Jaws doesn't have terror throughout.
Oh, yeah. Jaws was terrifying because of the realism of the film. Like, it's so terrifying. It's so scary. Guys, it's so...
Texas Chainsaw felt real.
No, it was so real. Scary. Brian, it was so scary, I was scared. Okay? Ray, shut up.
Sorry.
I'm so scary. It was so scary. I wasn't scared.
I was scared. I was so scared. It was so scary. I was scared because, like, it was so scary. Like, how can you not say how scary it was? It was so scary.
No, it
right?
was scary. It was scary. I just think it wasn't scary.
And like Texas Chainsaw, like I watched it and it was scary. You know, it was whatever. But fucking Jaws was terrifying. Okay, like they had the little puppet show, but Jaws is terrifying.
I'm adding it more to the runtime because throughout Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's scary. Throughout Jaws, there's a lot of scary moments, but there's a lot of family moments. There's a lot of comedy. The Exorcist, there's a lot of playful times with the mother and daughter. Then there's the terror.
Well, you know what? I saw Jaws when I was 4 years old, and I saw Texas Chainsaw when I was 9.
Well, damn.
I saw Jaws when I was 4 years old. My brother's favorite movie was Jaws, and my mom we'll get this on the other topic, but I'll tell you why I think it's the scariest film. But it has to do with the ratings in a minute. But anyways, but yeah, Jaws is. I'm not going to go into this. You know what it is. Y'all know what it is. Jaws is the scariest movie of all time. That being said, right?
All right, so now we'll go to Ray. Calm down.
I can't. I got the giggles. So I'm gonna have to go with Texas Chainsaw just because.
Yes,
I do agree that there is like really no downtime. Like even when they're in the van after they pick up the hitchhiker, and dude's crazy and just like cuts the other person. Like, you know, that's intense. Like you're like, what the hell's going on? And
it never lets up.
It doesn't. There, even when there's no like running or action, like when she's tied up to the chair, it's still like, like the whole time you're just tense and you know you don't know what's gonna happen. So it was like unrelenting. Like you never had a chance just to like, oh, okay, things are calm. Like no, it was just one thing after the other.
All right. So now the next topic is reviews for back then. And again, I'm going to have to go with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the very reason that it was put on a video nasty list because of how shocking it was. Jaws and The Exorcist got Oscars and awards, and they were said they were scary, but they were also great filmmaking. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like guerrilla filmmaking. It was raw, it was terrifying, and it was like nothing anyone's ever really encountered before. So I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the best reviewed in terms of horror back then. Ray, sorry, Amanda.
I think.
If you say Jaws, I swear to God.
Okay, I'm gonna let Ray go next.
Oh,
I'm gonna let Ray go next.
Are you sure?
No, you can go, Amanda.
Yeah, go.
Amanda, go.
I'm gonna pick Jaws. Oh, I'm gonna pick Jaws. I'm gonna pick Jaws. Just because that was I'm sorry, but that film was better than I'm sorry, it was better than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was better than Exorcist.
No, I agree with you. It's my favorite movie of all time. I'm just basing it off of what horror it has and how scary it is.
It's terrifying. It's way scarier than those other two films. And
yeah, but this isn't these separate topics. This isn't about which each topic doesn't define the movie. It's all these topics.
No, I know that. We're talking about review, though. We're talking about the reviews, right?
Yeah, the reviews back then.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. This film was nominated for an Oscar. I mean, this film was put on a pedestal of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah, but
I
I'm talking
mean,
about how scary it was, how it scared the reviewers back then. Not
it
not not.
terrified the reviewers back then, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, people put it on a pedestal versus, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take Texas Chainsaw off the map real quick because it was a tie. Okay, if you want to be honest, it's a tie between Exorcist and Jaws for me. Because although Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a defining film in itself, Toby Hooper, of course, it opened the doors for him so many times. But that being said, I really think it was a tie between Jaws and The Exorcist with critics alike. But I think the critics liked Jaws more than The Exorcist. So versus now people are seeing Exorcist as more of a fright film versus Jaws, just being the saturation of shark movies nowadays. I know there's a saturation with
Sharknado.
Yeah, there's a saturation with exorcism films, but there's not as much of a comedic approach to shark films as there was back in the day. So I guess I'll go ahead and give it to The Exorcist now that I think about it. So
now I gotta change it. Jeez.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
All right, so Ray,
I'm gonna go Exorcist.
Oh, and I gotta change it again.
Just because it was viewed as like the scariest movie ever made when it was released because of how much it horrified people. Just that initial like viewing of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's definitely there's definitely been nowadays there's been more horrific movies, but different context that they're horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like I would say a Serbian film is horrific, but it's not.
I hate that fucking movie. No.
It's not the same horror as the Exorcist.
No, Serbian film is not a fucking horror film. It's not even a film. It's a poor excuse of fucking exploitation. It's fucking stupid. It's retarded. It needs to go be taken out and shot. I will nominate Freddy Got Fingered for an Oscar before I give fucking Serbian film a minute of my fucking time. It's a horrible film. All you that think it's art, shame on you.
Is Freddy Got Fingered art?
It is compared to Serbian film. I will sit there and I'll write my term paper on Freddy Got Fingered, Daddy Do Like Some Sausage, Backwards Man before I even consider Daddy, would you like some sausages? Yes, I would, as long as Serbian film is not a part of that meat package.
Okay, so reviews now.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Y'all know better than to get me on a tangent. Anyways.
Don't mention a Serbian film. Shit!
I hate that movie.
Reviews now, I'd have to go with The Exorcist, only because people who watch Jaws now either think it's scary or not scary. People who watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre think it's disturbing or scary. If people watch The Exorcist, think it's most of the time they think it's scary. And so I think it's on terms of scare factor, it'd have to be The Exorcist on reviews now in like the past 10 years or so. Amanda?
Mine, of course, would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Psych Jaws. You guys don't want to fucking
Oh, fuck, you made me take it twice.
No! Fucking Jaws, dude. Jaws is the best. Like, even like yes, it is terrifying, but it's an amazing film. It's an amazing film. Okay, yeah. The acting, the foreshadowing, the cinematography, like everything about. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Brian?
Yeah, but some people who watch the film now don't see it as the acting and cinematography and everything as being great. They look at it as, oh, wow, that shark looks bad.
Well, see, I disagree. I disagree on that because I have a lot of friends who have seen this film, and you have to understand the shark, although it looks fake, is not till the end of the film. People are already built up with the I guess the story and the whole, just animosity to the fucking story itself. So I disagree with that.
I guess it's where people live too, because I have a friend, or technically a friend, who I work with, someone I work with, who says Jaws isn't even a horror film because it's not scary.
Well, and that's the debate we'll get in the next topic. But the thing about it is, I think Jaws had such a great. It's a better film. I honestly think it's a better film than The Exorcist and Texas Chainsaw. Not in the aspect of just, they're both great films, but I just think Jaws was more of a kind of fear, a look at fear in a different direction than most horror films do. And it was an adventure film. It had aspects of just, questioning, and just aspects of just, social, I can get into depth. I'm not going to get into depth about this, but it had so many undertones of just, money. And the original story actually had a lot to do with the mob, and just, I had a very greed. And although they didn't go into the film, like, you could see, after reading the book, you could see the undertones of it within the story.
It's in every single Jaws book too, because in Jaws the Revenge, Hoagie's actually a drug smuggler, and in the movie he actually says, they say, what do you do when you're not flying people? And he's like, I deliver laundry. And so that's a reference to the book where he delivers crates full of drugs as disguised as laundry.
Yeah, like, you're totally right.
Yeah. Ray, what do you... Oh, sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
Oh, you're going. I was just elaborating on what I was saying, but yeah, I would love to hear what Ray had to say, just because I was going on a tangent. But my you guys know I'm going to pick Jaws every time, so just.
All right, so Ray, what do you think on reviews now for the 3 films?
Honestly, I'd still say Exorcist. I think it's still very effective, very terrifying. This is my older sister is not a horror movie fan in the slightest sense of the word at all. I watched her just burst into tears within like probably 30 minutes of The Exorcist, and I was like, okay. We watched Jaws together, and she's just like, oh God, like the whole time, because we were, every summer we spent on boats at my grandparents', so she's like, shit. But never like, she never had a concern that she's going to be possessed, but she was like, oh, no, I'm not watching this. I'm out. So,
I just sound like a pansy.
Yes. She's an awesome pansy.
All right. So
guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to go with my teeth right back, okay?
All right. So next
just go ahead and let Ray go before me so I can go take care of my teeth. I'll be right back.
That screws everything up. Come back now. Okay, so next topic, next point is MPAA rating. Well, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was actually supposed to be rated PG. They wanted it to be PG, but it came back as R. Jaws is PG. The Exorcist is rated R. And how does I think the MPAA affected the movie I think the MPAA affected the best was actually The Exorcist, because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it made like $30 million, which is a lot for back then, but it still got labeled as a video nasty. People were revolted by it. Jaws was PG and made like $400 or so million, but The Exorcist was rated R and made over $100 million. So it shows that an R-rated film can still pull in a lot of money and doesn't matter what it's rated. Most times. All right, Ray, what do you think?
Was it really rated PG?
What, Jaws? Yeah.
That's crazy. And like Texas Chainsaw, I'm surprised that had such a low rating. That was probably why.
Well, it was rated R, but they wanted a PG.
How? Like.
I know. Well, that's why they didn't have any blood in the film.
Even so, that's insane. I think definitely like what you said with the R rating for The Exorcist, that was the best way to go.
Yeah.
But it is sometimes surprising, I feel like sometimes nowadays R-rated movies don't do as well.
Yeah.
And people are like clamoring for them to be PG-13 for some reason.
It's stupid.
It is stupid. Like, no.
So you choose The Exorcist, or?
I think so, yeah. I'm very Exorcist driven today. I don't know if that says anything about me.
She's gonna be pissed. There's 8 for Jaws and 11 for The Exorcist.
I'll give it up though. Jaws is pretty effing scary.
Oh yeah, no, all three of these films are scary, and I love them all. I'm not trying to diss Jaws in any way, you know.
Yeah.
That stuff tastes awful.
Aw.
I think I'm gonna wash it down with some wine. Anyways.
All right, so we both chose The Exorcist.
Okay, what topic are we on? I'm sorry. I just got sidetracked.
MPA rating, and I think the thing about it was that even though Jaws made tons of money and it was PG, The Exorcist made tons of money and was rated R, and it proved that R ratings can still be effective and make lots of money.
Well, I thought the debate for MP ratings, I believe that Jaws had been rated at least PG-13.
It couldn't be because it wasn't. PG-13 wasn't until 1984.
Yeah, it wasn't until Steven Spielberg when he did
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's when he developed the PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
But had that been, I totally agree. Exorcist.
Yeah.
So we won that for Exorcist. So.
And actually, oh yeah, never mind. So the next topic, if everyone's all set.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Current status of the three films. Which has the best ratings, which has the best influence, which has the best pop culture or whatever, you know? So I'd have to go with, for scare factor, if this was based on like cheesiness and fun, it'd have to go to Jaws. But scare factor, it'd have to be The Exorcist because people still talk about how scary that movie was, and people that I've known have said Jaws was either scary or not scary or just stupid. So I begrudgingly say The Exorcist, but I do think Jaws is a very scary regardless. But The choice is The Exorcist for me. All right, Amanda.
I'm gonna pick the Siberian film. Of course I'm gonna pick Jaws. Of course I'm gonna pick Jaws. Guys, Jaws is the scariest film I've ever seen in my life. I've seen so many films, and Jaws just has every aspect of a horror film that I love. I understand that Texas Chainsaw had a lot of the grim, murders, and I understand Exorcism had that whole fantastical appeal of demonic possession and unrealism of the demons and just the fear aspect of it. But I, on hands down, think Jaws was just a fucking scarier film than that, because you dived into people's life, and you dived into the realism of just fright. Although people want to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like I said earlier, you walk into a place that looks like they're gonna eat you, then fucking peace, bye. You go in, the bitch's head starts twirling, peace, bye. But when you go to this atmosphere of Jaws, it has such a scary atmosphere without even being that point. I know I'm beating a dead horse on this, but I honestly feel that Jaws wins this category downright, because it is the better, not even the better film, but the better aspect of just connecting to people's fears in a psychological point versus like a downright, like people go see The Exorcist, they're like, oh, that's a scary horror film that messes with me and stuff. You go see Texas Chainsaw, you're like, oh, that was a really scary film that messed with me. Jaws had too many layers to it. It had the realism and had the family dynamic. You had all these kind of things that kind of connected together to develop this idea of fear, not even so much of just being scary, but having an idea of terror. Like, that could be my family. I don't feel like you can watch Exorcist and you could watch Texas Chainsaw and put yourself in that film as much as you can with Jaws. So.
All right, Ray?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick Texas Chainsaw.
Just to spite you, bitch. Just to spite. No, I'm missing a little.
So I'm picking this because it kind of opened up like a whole door for like crazy family genre, like a whole family of psychopaths rather than just one psychopath chasing you down. And because it was very, very loosely based off of like a true crime
Endgame
situation.
Yeah,
very loosely. But
y'all be careful, because I live in Texas. Y'all be careful.
Dun dun dun.
And scene.
But like
Right.
they're all normal for the most part, normal humans, maybe a little inbred, but like there's nothing supernatural about them. There's no, you know, crazed animals. They're just humans, and
They're normal, right?
yes, there's a bunch of them that live around me. I see them.
Oh, really? You're like, I want to eat your flesh. Oh, that's just Cletus. Hey, cool. Hey, just give us some potato salad. He'll chill the fuck out.
I should throw potato salad at them.
Oh, you should. They'll be like, there's no people in this salad.
Not yet.
Yeah, so my plans to come visit you are X'd.
Aw, dang it.
Like, y'all want some manna salad?
She's delicious.
So I hate to say it, we can still go over the last topic, but do you want me to see what the winner's gonna be?
Go for it.
The Exorcist.
Oh,
Only because the there's 5 for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's 9 for Jaws, and there's 13 for The Exorcist. So even if all 3 of us pick Jaws, it would still be 12.
Okay, well, I'll go with that. But can I say something?
Well, wait, you got one more topic to talk about if you
Oh,
guys
we
want
do?
to.
Oh, we got one more. Okay.
All right, lasting effects.
oh God.
And Amanda, I pick Jaws.
Yes, because I was gonna pick Jaws too. Yay!
Because
Hey, Brian, let's do our high five.
so I think
High five. Ray's like, I don't want to be a part of this.
so I think Jaws for the lasting effects, because even though there's tons of shameless knockoffs and B movies, there are still some kind of creepy shark movies coming out, and there's
I have
more-
not seen any of them.
Well, no, there's like Bait, and there's off the top of my head, Bait, but so Jaws will have a legacy of shark films following it for more than just this year and next year, because even in the 70s they had them like Grizzly, Orca, or not Orca, but Piranha, a lot of Jaws ripoffs that were
Great
kind of
White.
scary. So that it's not just sharks. You can have a broader spectrum of scary creatures attacking thanks to Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I will say that I have not seen any of the newer shark films just because Jaws fucked me up. And I won't watch it. I haven't seen Bait. I haven't seen 47 Meters Down. I'm not going to watch 48 Meters Down. I am still debating on the fact that I'm going to watch Meg because I read Meg and I still wanted to, I still kind of peed a little. Okay.
Aww.
I peed a little when I watched it.
The
And
Shallows is
read
great.
it.
You should watch it. It's not about sharks. It's about shallow
Brian.
water.
No, Brian. Don't put that evil on me, brah. Okay?
It's
I'm
got
not
Blake
watching
Lively.
that
It can't be
film.
too bad.
No, because I read fucking Meg, and I don't pee on myself very often. It just depends. Ha ha!
Secrets out. Oh no.
But no,
Bring the pull-ups.
I guess it depends. But yeah. Anyways, I've been wanting to say that all week. No, but yeah, I haven't watched 47 Meters Down. I'm not gonna watch 48 Meters Down. The only reason I think I would watch Meg is if I was with a group of people. So I might do a special trip to go see Meg with certain people so that I could sit there and be like, I'm not scared. I'm never scared. And then y'all can be like, maybe where it depends. I'm like, that's none of your business.
What's that crinkling?
Like that is my soul.
What's that squish in the water? Is that a shark?
That is I'm just gonna float and people are gonna wonder why I'm floating. I'm like, it's none of your business. Anyways,
Shark's like, oh,
I don't
seal.
wear diapers, guys. I'm joking. I don't wear diapers. I'm joking.
You float on top of the water, and the shark's like, oh, seal.
No, Brian, that's none of your business.
All right,
No,
so
anyway, yeah. I forget sometimes that we're live because how we fuck with each other, and I'm like, I just got on live stream and told everybody that I wear Depends. No, I don't wear Depends.
very lasting effects.
I'm gonna have to go with Jaws.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I'm a full-grown adult, and the second anything touches my foot in the water, that's my first thought. You know, you still have those fears of water you can't see through, and it's because of Jaws. And you're just like, he's down there.
You know what? I see like somebody's gonna touch your foot, and you're like, "What is that?" And then little Blair is gonna come out of the water, and be like, You're like, I gotta rethink. I gotta rethink everything.
All right, so we have. Are you all set with what you wanted to say, Ray?
I think so.
Right.
I'm sorry, babe. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good.
Jeez, man, that's good. For the third place, we have a whopping 5 points for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre out of a possible 10. No, actually, out of a possible 30. And oh wait, how does that work? How did I screw this up?
You screwed it up. Jaws one. Jaws one.
No, 13, 25. No, I got it. Okay.
What comments do we have? I'm curious about the comments.
All right, I'll talk about. I'll look at them just after I announce second and first place.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Jeez, Amanda.
I thought you announced it when I went to go do the swish. I thought you were.
No, so the second place is Jaws with 12 points, and The Exorcist is number 1 with 13 points. So it's basically a tie, pretty much, but it still edges it out by 1 point. And overall, I think Jaws is the scarier movie.
That coming from a guy with a bunch of Jaws shit behind him.
There's no bias here.
There's no bias.
I'm just saying several points were better for The Exorcist, but as a whole, for me, Jaws is scarier. Yes. Amanda, Jaws is scarier. Ray, which one's scarier?
Wait, no. I was gonna say Texas Chainsaw. Don't act like you know me. So two for Jaws. What cheese, Ray?
I'd probably say Jaws just because The Exorcist, like, it's scary, but I'm just like, I don't necessarily believe in any of that stuff. But I believe in sharks. For sure.
I believe in them sharks.
I believe in them sharks.
I believe in the thing called love. These sharks gonna dip in the heart.
So for point, it's The Exorcist. For overall opinion, it's Jaws. Mm-hmm. How the fuck does that work?
I don't know. You made the point system, brah.
I gave all the good points too.
I demand a recount.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. Atmosphere and feel stuff. All right, so let's go to the comments. Then we'll call it a stream or whatever you want to call it.
Because I'm going next, y'all. Y'all know that we're going live after this from my channel. So.
I already gave you a channel plug. You don't get 2.
Everybody gets 1.
So OCD Horror dropped a bowling ball in his his toe.
Oh no!
So
it's okay. I have a tooth, so it's okay.
Would you drop a bowling ball in the back of your mouth?
That would be impressive.
That's none of your business, Brian. We talk about this. What I do on my Tuesdays or my own business. Okay.
I could make a really dirty joke, but I'm not going to.
I bet you could. I bet you could. I bet you could.
And Jeff Lloyd says The Exorcist gave me nightmares as a child. Jaws made me want to drive a further distance down the East Coast until I couldn't see the ocean. Vile Baker says I agree with that, Brian. Well. Everyone agrees with me on here. Like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Brian's totally right about every single one of these points."
Oh yeah, is that what that
says? Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! There's water everywhere, Jeff. Just saying.
OCD Horror says Jaws is the most influential of the 3 by far, Brian. Well, geez. its influence transcends horror into action suspense, and it created the blockbuster, what is more influential today than considering how many of those we get.
Did you just snort?
I win. Pay me.
No, oh my God. Because Brian's like later on, he goes, "Oh yeah, what?" He's like saying "fuck you" without saying "fuck you." That's why I'm laughing so hard because he's like, "Oh, if that's your opinion." That's your opinion, okay? And I'm like, Brian.
I should have been like, okay, yeah, sure.
He's like, say fuck you, that's say fuck you. That's why I'm laughing so hard because he's such a sweet guy. He's like, no, that's your opinion as an American. You,
America.
America.
Because one time, someone at my school was like, okay, so this is how it goes. Even though it's your opinion and it's completely wrong, I'm like, I'm going to punch you in the face now.
Yeah. You know what they say about opinions.
Everybody has one. They're dirty like assholes. Well, wait, am I saying the right one? I don't know.
Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them and they all stink. They're not all dirty, though. Amanda.
Whoops, guys. Sorry.
I think all this stink needs to be taken care of.
Oh. Well played.
Well, thank you for having us, Brian. This has been so much fun. Like always, we love hanging out with you.
Yes, thank you.
I love hanging out with my two YouTube BFFs. I mean, honestly, guys, I know I am Brian's channel a lot. Me and Ray do stuff a lot together, but these are my two friends that I actually. This is the first. I keep forgetting that we're live right now because how many times we hang out and get drunk on Google Hangouts and not be live. So like.
It's because I'm I'm not a that guy. I'm a fun guy.
I'm that guy.
I am that guy. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna do a separate video, but Chop Block reached 100 subscribers, and I told him to make him a shout out video because he's been following my channel for a while. So,
all right, good deal.
I'll probably do that tomorrow or something.
Yay, Brian! I wish you could join on my live stream.
What time is it? No.
It's your bedtime. You gotta go to sleep. So let's wrap it up so I can get my video started, guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's Amanda Stone for Channel Sundown.
Thanks for having me. I'm Ran from Ray-Animator Reviews.
Thanks for watching. I'm Brian Gatto, host of Horror Show Entertainment. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below and to leave comments and to
subscribe.
There you go. It took you.
I had a lag. It took a minute.
Blame the computer.